Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lynn, and if you're just now visiting, the last couple videos have been a little off kilter, and I do apologize for that. But normally, I focus on any craft. I do any craft, but normally I focus on knitting and crochet. And, you know, I dabble in other stuff. Well, if you saw the last video, and if you're new here, of course you wouldn't, but on my last video, I had tried my hand at making a project bag. And I do love it. It's got so many cute features. But as this title said, I have no willpower. I wanted to get a couple different yarn things done, one knit and one crochet. And I will tell you about those later in a minute. And I do apologize. I came on here with a wet head. I just got out of the shower and we have to run to town to get the roofing supplies to fix our roof from Helene. But last episode, I had told y'all that, and this is mainly for the people, the new people, but I loved making it, but I did make a couple mistakes because I didn't really have a pattern. I didn't have a tutorial per se. I had a quick little shorts video that someone put up, and I took what I saw off of there and ran with it. And if it wasn't for my sewing background, I probably wouldn't have been able to even pull this off. But I did make a couple mistakes. And I thought, okay, knowing what I know after I made this bag, how cute are those kitties, though? Yes, I'm a kitty person. Actually, I'm an animal person, period. But this was slightly taller than I would normally use. I'm still going to use it because, hey, this is the first bag I've ever made. So it is, well, technically, it's the first project bag I've ever made because I made my mom a tote bag, I want to say back in 07, 06, 07, maybe, around there. And it looked like the Texas flag. In fact, the red and blue section of the flag there were pockets. I will try to remember that the next video. It is put up, it's dusty and all nasty looking probably, but it's one of the things that I did keep after she passed away. And just like the turquoise jewelry, that I made her. But I'll touch on that here in a little bit because I have a finished make that I want to show you that I'm so excited. I knew I was going to get that done. But so in my last video, I said that I wanted to get those two things done if I could not fall into temptation and work on other stuff. Because a biggest dilemma of a maker is you want to make all the things all the time at the same moment. Because it seems like my idea list is endless. And Jennifer at Cinnamon Stitches calls it hyperfixations. And I can kind of see where she gets that because when something sparks your interest or it inspires you and the newness of it, it's like the honeymoon stage in crafting. You want to dive in and you want to do all the different ways possible to do this particular item. And yeah, so I have no willpower. I have willpower in other things. That helped me quit smoking 8 years ago. So I do have willpower. But when it comes to my crafting, maybe not so much. It is what it is. So I thought I took what I learned from the first project bag. And you know that the word I couldn't think of in the last video? it was cosmic, you know. It was celestial. It was night sky. It was whatever you want to say. But the fat quarter pack of 5 that I bought had 5 different fat 5 pieces of fat quarter. And if you don't know, a fat quarter is usually about an 18 by 21 inch cut of fabric that is prepackaged. You know, you don't have to find anybody, you just go and grab it. And I think fat quarters came about maybe from quilters. I don't know, I'm not a quilter, and oops, didn't mean to hit my mic. I'm not enough in that realm to know, so I could be wrong. Lord knows I've been wrong before. So a couple things that I did wrong on that other bag was I wanted my bag 5 inches deep or wide, correct? Thick, you know. I wanted the base to be 5 inches wide. And I thought, okay, so I have it figured out in my head. I need 2 inches for the bottom of the bag, like this, because I loved how this was. But I didn't allow for the cutout to be able for the seating of the bag. So anyway, I corrected that, or so I thought. But it was late at night when I did this. So I'm not surprised I screwed up because I've already told y'all many, many times I am my best in the mornings. All of my brain cells fire mostly. But so I came up with this and I thought, oh, right, I am nailing it until I went to assemble it. Because all of my pieces, what I were the calculations that I came up with, what I thought was right. And it could be the fact that I zoomed through this. I did this in about 2 hours. Now you might think that's a long time, but for someone who doesn't sew on the norm, I mean, yes, I have a lot of sewing experience, but it's at 51 years old, it doesn't have to be marathons, you know, marathon sewing sessions. So I sew intermittently, I guess you could say. Anyway, so it takes me a while to get things done. And the biggest thing is cutting each piece and then doing the interfacing, fusing the interfacing fabric on the back of it to make it a little sturdier. As you can see, I mean, this is a pretty decently sturdy bag, you know. It's not perfectly thick, but I didn't want that. I want it to be able to be crumpled or fit into tight spaces or, and another podcaster, I know I've already called out Cinnamon Stitches or Jennifer, but another podcaster, a knitting podcaster, Nitty Natty, she is living in an RV. They're traveling the United States, hitting all 50 states and whatnot. So on her journey, they have a little van called Lydia. So space is a very big commodity, and she needs fabric bags that can fold up or to fit in them little bitty nooks and crannies. I don't have that need, but you never know if you might want to pop this into a beach bag or into a bigger bag, or you know, you might have a few people in your vehicle and space might be conservative. But usually I have a bag with me at all times if I'm going out of the house. So I want it to be as versatile as I can. Now, I call this one my tall and skinny latte, so to speak. Not a latte, but you know how Starbucks says tall, skinny, something, something, something. I don't know. I've never drank a drink from Starbucks. I've never had anything from Starbucks. The only thing I've ever done with Starbucks is ride through the drive-thru with my daughter-in-law. But she gets some pink drink that I have no clue. But anyway, I think they call them tall, skinny somethings. I think they're called tall, skinny lattes. Any Starbucks fans can tell me if, I don't know Starbucks lingo. But I called this one my tall, skinny. So I thought, okay, after I did this one, which I love this fabric, and I might get another 5-pack of this fabric for this one alone. Or I might just take a picture of it and see if I can't Google search it and see if anybody might else have it. I do like the others, and I will show you those. But this is the one that, this has got the deepest blues and the deepest purples, and y'all know me in blue and purple. So this was my tall skinny. I did this that night. So after I finished it, I sat down, and I'm going to show y'all. It's so funny. Now, it's like, kind of like when I'm designing a pattern for crochet or knit, I write down everything. And I don't know if y'all can see all my scribble scrabble, but especially since mostly I write in pink ink. But that was my first go. Okay. I said, and my notes I put on it was too tall and skinny, not enough bottom seat. Right. Because I told you I wanted the 5-inch bottom. Well, then I made this little baby right here, which I got my 5-inch bottom, right? And I thought, okay, I don't want it that tall. So I had it as an 8-inch tall bag. But I messed up. I counted all of it, even the pieces that I cut out and folded for the bottom of my seat. So now I have a short and squat one. I have a tall, skinny, and short and wide, right? But now on the tall, skinny, I only did one drawstring, and on this I was able to do 2. So it is still a perfectly good bag, and it still will be used. If I don't sell it, I don't know. I mean, I might put it out there if someone wants it, you know. If not, I am perfectly fine using this bag. Now, because I'm thinking, maybe not the 1-pound skeins, but like the 7-ounce or something. You could put one of those in there and snug it up and be as snug as a bug in a rug. Or you could put a lot of minis in there, or little 50-gram balls, or people who do granny squares, if they want to put like multiple little smaller balls in that they're working on for like those sunflowers that I did on that cardigan. I need to get some more of those made too, by the way. But I really had fun with the problem with this one was I drew it out and did my figurations that night after I messed up with tall and skinny. So at this point, I'm kind of like getting frustrated. But I didn't realize that I had made this mistake in my drawing about the height. So when I was cutting the fabric for this, I was like, oh, that seems kind of short. And I'm like, no, trust your process. Trust your brain, Lynn. Morning me trying to tell myself to trust the night me. I should have known that was not going to work. So I knew it was a fail. But I'd already wasted all that fabric, all that interfacing. And and I did line the tall skinny too. I lined it with the old sheets, like I was telling you. Well, not the old sheets, but the unused sheets, the pretty gray fabric. I'm really loving that as a liner because I like the smoothness of it. But anyway, and I lined this one too. I have an entire flat sheet, so I have plenty of gray fabric, which will come in later if I get to that portion. I don't even know how long I've been talking. I can't see my screen, so um, anyway, I thought, trust the process, trust yourself, and I will not do that again. The next time I think I might have made a mistake, I'm going to stop what I'm doing right then and there and fix it. But like I said, I can still use this bag. It's perfectly usable, or if someone else wants it, it's perfectly sellable. But I like this material too. Now, with this being such a small part of the printed design, you can't see all of the glory of that design. But I like it. And I do love how it's got that 5-inch seat in it, though. I mean, you know, look at that. I love it. So, I had a tall, skinny, and a short and wide. And I put them side by side. And this is yesterday about, and I had focused all night the night before on tall and skinny and designing short and wide, right? And it's such a pretty day out there. I'm sorry. I had to open my window just so I could feel the breeze and let it help dry my hair because it's still not dry. For somebody with such thin, fine hair, because it's not just thin and it's not just fine. I had to have the double whammy. So it's silky smooth and super thin. And it doesn't want to hold anything. It doesn't hold curls. It doesn't hold barrettes. It does. I have a hair clip that I have to wind all my hair up and scrunch it up to make some semblance of a ball to be able to get that thing to clip into my head. And then it still slides out. But yes, I know that I got sidetracked. But anyway, so this was about, I want to say 1 o'clock yesterday when I finished this bag. And my sewing machine is kind of giving me a little bit of a trouble. So it's taking a little longer. Now, in total, because I started this about 6 o'clock yesterday morning, but my daughter-in-law needed me to ride with her to go do something. So I didn't get back on it until a little later. And I think the total time I spent on this might have been 2 hours. I think what it is because I'm having to cut the interfacing and iron it on to the back of the material, and you got your printed panels, you got two of those, and then you got your seat piece, you got two of those. Then you have your drawstring sleeves, you got two of those. Then you have your liner, which is everything all four pieces again, plus the interfacing to be done on that. So that's the part that takes me the longest. Because I can't see that well, it's very hard to make sure I'm cutting my straight lines. And I have the rotary tool cutter, and then I have the cutting board. I think it's like a self healing mat, and I try to mark everything so that I know I'm going to cut a straight line, but if you can't see the line, you don't know if you're cutting it straight. So with me having to get that close to the fabric, and it takes a minute. So it's taking me longer to do that section than it is to actually sew it. So after I finished this bag, I said, I'm not stopping. I knew I needed to get on my socks. I knew I needed to get on to working on my spring fling bag because I knew I still had to make my video. And you know, I'm not a huge fan of showing my whips. I might today. I don't know. Um, but, and I wasn't going to show you these because these are my fails, which they're not fails. They're learning experiences and they're still very, very usable bags. So they're not total fails, but to me, they're fails for my calculation mistakes. And, it is what it is, right? So on my little notes that I wrote to myself, I said, I wanted 8-inch bag and then a frowny face. And I said, so printed needs to be at least 7 inches tall because I have the 2 inches for the bottom and then I have the 7 inches of printed. So that's 9 inches. Well, I use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I was using a quarter on this first bag, but with me not being able to see as good as I need to cut the material, I was getting skimpy in some places. So I was like, I'm not going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch. So a ½ inch on each end, you have to have an extra inch. So I needed 9 inches. I mean, yeah, 7 inches of printed fabric and then the 2 inches of bottom seat that actually shows. And then I have another 2.5 inches after the cutout to make it a standable piece. But I wrote all this down. And then I got to thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I think I want some a little taller. Because, like I said, I put these two side by side on the table in front of me with my measuring tape. And I'm like, where do I want my bag to fall? And I thought of this bag. I wasn't coming all the way over here to grab my bag. But I thought, what if I want 10 inch? What if I want a 10-inch tall bag? All right. So I said, I want a 10-inch. So I'll need the printed section to be 9 inches. And that's true. So I have this little beauty. Now, it's so funny because when I took this off my machine after adding my liner, I didn't say it. I didn't scream it, but I said it pretty loud, and I even startled my son's dog. I was like, "Perfection," But look, that came out exactly like I wanted it to. And then it's got the 5-inch seat. It can stand up, which right now it's not wanting to. I don't know why, but it stands up pretty on the table. But it could be that my hand's not big enough. I mean, I have a pretty decent hand for a girl, but it's still maybe not big enough. So anyway, this was the look I was going for. Now, this one is 10 inches wide by 10 inches tall. I think it might be a little bit taller with the drawstring sleeves. But as far as actual printed fabric and this, it should measure close to about a 10 by 10 bag. And this will be good for, since we're going into wintertime, I can have some blankets on the go or bigger projects like cardigans and stuff like that, to where I'll need a little bit more room than this will provide. But that was one of the mistakes. I wanted this to be a 10-inch tall bag and I'd messed up. But because I was thinking this had to be 10 inches, then it didn't, because this was perfect, but I wasn't counting this in my 10 inches. So this ended up being 12 inches tall. So like I said, even when I mess up, it's still okay because I can still use these bags, or they're still usable bags. And even my husband and my daughter-in-law said the same thing. They're still usable bags, and they are. But this was what I was going for, and I was so excited to get it done. Now, it meant that I did not get to town yesterday to go get my shingles. Because when I suggested to my husband 2 days ago, he wasn't feeling like going to town. And then after my bag making frenzy, I wasn't ready to go to town yesterday because it was like 3 or 3:30, and I was tired. My back was killing me from bending over, cutting the fabric, fusing the fabric, and then getting everything together and sewing it twice. Because the night before I had done tall and skinny. Well, yesterday, and then I drew out the plans for the short and wide. That's what I'm just calling it. But I'd drawn out the plans for my second bag that night. Well, yesterday morning is when I got started on this. So I did both bags yesterday. And that is something that I will go down in history as a lesson learned for myself. As much as I love making these bags, because I really, really, really do. They're really fun. I would not have expected that. I mean, yes, I've made the bag for my mom, and I've sewn some skirts and all for myself, and I've made a couple more different things. I've sewn some curtains, and I've done things. But these bags, they're so much fun. They're a lot more involved and a lot more work. But you know what? On my mom's tote bag, I used canvas material. could make a couple tote bags that I want to be a little firmer with the, or I could just make a canvas purse. That's an idea. Okay. Anyway, so I told y'all when I told you about these bags that I wanted to do that I gotten some other fat quarters. Well, this is a fat quarter. You know, it's just a simple little 18 by 21 pre-cut fabric. Now, this was the beach theme that I was telling y'all about, and I'm going to make this one because I think this would be a perfect summer bag or a summer project bag. Or I could take it around with me in the wintertime to cycle through my bags. Who knows? I might make it and put it on my website. Who knows? So, and now I know how all the quilters have all these little spare scraps of fabric left over. Now, with those 3 bags, now all 3 of those had their own design, right? Well, I have 2 more. This one is very close to the first one, but not quite. And I'll show you the difference between these 2. See, there is a difference. So I like the similarities, but I still think this one's my favorite. So I will probably go back to Wally World and grab me another pack of these fat quarters for this one. And then I might go on a search for fabric by the yard for that. Because on this bag making frenzy, I used all my interfacing, my fusible interfacing. So if I want to make another bag, I have to go back. I can get it at Walmart in a pre-cut thing, and then Joann's has it by the yard. So I might have to go back and get me some of that. Now, this one I like, but it's got a lot of the pinks and the aqua, you know. I like that, but this definitely will, I think, need to be a bigger bag. And I'm not going to unfold it all the way, but I wanted to show you kind of that pretty design. But it'll definitely need to be a bigger bag to showcase that. And I will need a second one for the back of that bag. Or I could do a solid black background or blue background and then do that as a front of the bag. Like I said, endless possibilities. Endless. All right. Now, if you've held on this long, thank you. I'm going to get into my yarn now. I don't think I'm hyper fixated on it, to use Jennifer's term, but it's definitely something I still want to do. I also wanted to get, now I showed y'all that hyperfixation cannot trump my love of yarn, because even when I was taking a break from this, I took about a 20-30 minute break yesterday to try to ease my back, and I grabbed my socks, not only to get them finished for this video for y'all, but I mean, it's sock yarn. It's so soft and so smooth. Oh yeah. Anyway, this is the Arcane Fiberworks Turquoise Treasures. And this is the one that I bought because every time I seen his ad for it, it reminded me of the turquoise jewelry my mother loved to wear, and of the jewelry that I actually made her. Now, these are the socks that came out of it. I will tell you, and I'm hoping that you can see this in the camera good. You're going to see my Halloween nails too, but it is, do you see the patterning of it? It is a little different than the swatch in his ad. And I don't mind that so much. But I love how it worked out. All right. And it is different, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that, like, the turquoise stripes are singles on my sock. Well, in the swatch, it was like 2 or 3. But my socks are 60-inch around, 60 stitches, not 60 inches, 60 stitches around. Most swatches are maybe 40 inches wide. So this is another 20 stitches. So I can see why the pattern, I fell in love with the way the colors played on that swatch. And I don't mind. I still love the socks. And every time I wear them, I'm going to have that mental image of my mom in her turquoise jewelry. And I have plenty of tops that will match this. So, and for those knitters out there, this is just a plain vanilla sock. There wasn't anything special. I did the 1x1 ribbing, the no wrap, no turn, short row heel, and then Kitchener grafted. I still call it Kitchener stitching my toes together. I know that the term now is, I think it's grafted or grafting or something. I don't know. I don't mind using the new term. It's just, it's not what immediately comes to mind. So I apologize for that. But I was really excited to get these done. I am going to probably, well, I'm not going to wear them today. Because I have my Georgia shirt on. So, and I have to wear my hand knitted Georgia socks for that one. I got to represent my dogs, right? So, oh, speaking of, I don't know if any of y'all watch football, but last weekend in college football, there was a lot going on. A lot of different upsets. Okay, so I am going to end up showing you, and I hope I haven't gone on too long. Let me check. I don't even remember what time I started this video. I did not hear my phone. I had a text and didn't hear it. Oh. Okay, spam. So, hopefully I haven't been talking too long. But now that was my knit project that I got finished. And I'm thinking I want to get started on another pair of socks, and I might start the cuff and get to the regular stockinette stitch for my own to go project. Of one, I don't know if I'll use the Winter Wonderland that I got from Arcane, or if I might use my Ruby and Roses yarn. I don't know, but I showed y'all. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I almost got distracted again. Anyway, I'm glad to have that done, but like I said, I might get another thing on the needles. So the other project, it is still currently a whip, unfortunately. But I will show you the two bags. I've not shown one of them. I've only shown this very first one that I'm currently using as my purse. And this is the Spring Fling bag. It is a crochet. It's a free crochet pattern by Crochet Dreams. And it's Crochet Dreams. Dreams is with a Z.com. If I think about it, I will link it below. But this is the most fun, cute little bag that, I loved it. The only thing I didn't love was hand sewing in this liner. All right. But, oh, and I got these off of Amazon. It was just a pack of 3. And it looks like I snapped. Oh, no. I haven't snapped it. It's just coming out of the bead. The little string hanging out of the bead there. But I really like how this turned out so much that I had another idea for one that I made. I want to say, I didn't bring my water in here. My throat's getting really dry. I want to say maybe a month. No, it's been longer than that. It was right after I made that one. Oh, and if you want to know the colors, I will give you the information on that. Um, Everything's lily, sugar, and cream except one. This is I can't believe I forgot that. All right, let's go with what I remember. This is Ahoy. This was one of the very first ones I fell in love with in the Lily Sugar and Cream line because it's just so tropical looking. This one is Beach Glass. This one is Forest, I believe. Rainforest. Now that's gonna bug me. Nope, I'm not. I'm not even checking on my phone. But I believe it's Rainforest. It's a color I've had for a while. And then this one right here is not a Lily Sugar and Cream. This is actually a Crafter Secret from Hobby Lobby and called Mango. But I really loved how that came to be. Now, I did ask y'all's opinion on what formation y'all thought it would look good, and y'all were right because I love that combination. Then I decided to make another one, and I made this one. Now, I haven't shown this on the the YouTube channel yet before today because it's not finished. I haven't lined it because that was the part I dreaded the most on that one. I don't mind hand sewing, but hand sewing through double crochets in cotton yarn is a nightmare. I've done it with acrylic, I've done it with wool, but never cotton until that spring fling bag. And let me tell you, sewing that sucker by hand is not enjoyable. So I'm hoping that my sewing machine can pick up the slack on that for this one and the current one that I'm working on. But now, same thing. This is a Lily Sugar and Cream bag. This one is, and the thing about it is 4 rectangles, so it's super easy to make, and it kind of it will sit as long as you have something in it. Now, it won't stay because these handles are atrociously heavy. You can crochet handles, but I wanted the look of these kind of handles. So, ideally, I wanted just wooden handles, but I couldn't find any that I liked that they didn't want an arm and a leg for. So, if y'all have some info on that, leave that down in the comments because I'm always looking for some pretty little handbag handles. But Lily Sugar and Cream, Beach Glass, Hot Pink, which y'all had voted for hot pink because I had 2 different pinks, mod blue and yellow. And I love this one, and I will have it ready to use next spring. Or I might line it and put it on my website. But like I said when I made that first one, if I have to hand sew it, that thing's going to be atrociously expensive because that took the longest time trying to work through all this stiff cotton yarn. So hopefully I can not have a brain lapse. Hopefully I can make it a situation to where I can do this on my, I'm sorry, must be getting, it is definitely getting close to afternoon because you know, most people, they hit their slump of their day around 2ish, 3ish. Well, that's around 11 or 12 is that's my 2 or 3ish because I'm up at 5:30. So, it's late for me when it's noon. But anyway, um I do want to get this done. So I'm hoping that my sewing machine will play nice and let me do it on the sewing machine instead of by hand. If it doesn't, if I have to do it again by hand, I'll do it. It just probably won't get sold. It'll probably stay with me. Um, but it is a very nice pattern. It's very super simple. It's just 4 rectangles. You sew them together. You make these little tabs, which you can't see in the finished product. Sorry, this is my purse that I'm actually using right now. Told y'all. That's actually not money, that's keys. Oh, there might be a couple quarters in there. So I need to put my coin purse back in this one. But you can't see the base of the tabs. I mean, you see how they stick out before you sew a liner in them? All that's camouflaged when you put the liner in. So all in all, it is a great, great little bag. And I didn't use my light handles on those colors because I knew I wanted a color palette similar to this that I wanted with the blonde or the tan wood. So that being said, I have most of the winter spring fling bag that I'll be carrying this winter. I have most of it completed. I still have a couple panels to sew together. Then I have to make the little tags and then put the handles on and sew the tabs in and then line it. So it still can be done relatively quickly, relatively. And the reason I say that is because apart from the bag distraction, and that was a huge distraction because I didn't want to stop. I really I wanted to get them done, and to I wanted to develop a pattern that I could actually recreate many times over if I wanted to, or just minorly adjust the size. Because I thought going into it that first night that, oh yeah, I've got this. I thought that on crochet patterns and knit patterns. You just don't know going in, you know. You don't really think about, oh, well, I'm going to mess up and I'm going to have to frog. And I know it in the back of my head, but the reality of it, and Maya, you see the window open? You can't see her, but Maya's over here. She's just a smelling. And for those who don't know, my son's husky, and she's probably going to hit the camera. Come here, Maya. Come here. Come here. Come here. Maya. Okay, well, she's looking out the window. Come here. Get down. Come here. Come here. Come here. Up. Up. This is Maya. This is my sweet little husky puppy. She's not mine. She's my son's. But she's still a sweetheart. Anyway, so Maya, get down. She smells, she sees that the window's open and she smells all the smells. And she's a definite, she's a definitely smell girl. But anyway, uh, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, if I can get this done before I have to film for the next video, I will show you on the next video. Now, the qualification on that is I hope to be getting this roof fixed this weekend. Um, and that means there's going to be a lot of people here. And, you know, I do tend to knit and crochet no matter who's around, but it'll probably be my grandbaby and my great nephew. And, you know, while I can sit and talk to adults while I'm knitting and crocheting, you really can't do that with with toddlers. You know, they want you to actively participate. They want you to play. So I hope I'll get it done to show y'all. You know, if not, maybe I will have something else for you. I have no clue at this point. But until then, I hope y'all have a great one, and I will see you Monday. All right? Y'all have a great one. And for those of you who are in Milton's path, please stay safe. After Helene showed her butt here, I'm worried about Florida. Yes, I know Florida's used to hurricanes and everything, but Milton is nasty. It is a very nasty hurricane. So even if you're not, keep them in your prayers. All right. I will see y'all later. Bye.